Welcome to Finding Holiness, where we delve into timeless Torah wisdom, revealing the sacred in everyday moments. Join us on a journey to elevate your spirituality and discover holiness in every aspect of life. I'm your host, Rabbi David Kadosh, and together, let's embark on a path of spiritual exploration. I hope you enjoy this next episode. Okay, everybody, we're going to begin now Seder Nashim, which is the next Seder of Mishna Yevamot that follows Seder Moed. And I have to apologize because the first Masechet of Seder Nashim is another very, very complex and difficult one. But it will get more interesting and a little easier. I'm sorry? That's not my fault. I know. Not long ago, I was giving a little speech at a group of a siyum of a Masechet, and I was speaking to the people who were being mesayim, and a lot of them was their first time completing a masechet. And I said, listen, it's great, kol hakavod, but you're in your honeymoon period right now. This is all, the daf yomi masechtot are very easy right now. Ta'anit, Megillah coming up, and before you know it, you're going to hit Yevamot and Holin. Lo and behold, the first masechet of Seder Nashim is Yevamot. And that deals extensively with the laws of Yibum. Yibum is a levirate marriage, that if a person, chas v'shalom, dies without any children, so his wife has an obligation, Torah obligation, to marry a younger brother, le'akim shemo be'Yisrael, to uphold his legacy, and bear children that would have been from her first husband. This is what the Masechet talks about. If she chooses not to, then they perform what is called a halitza, which is something, again, that we're going to speak about over here. I will tell you that the beginning of the Masechet is arguably the hardest of the whole Masechet. All right, especially like the first few Mishnayot that speaks about who is exempt from Yibum. So the opening Mishnah, so the first Mishnah in the first parak of Masechet Yevamot talks about a case, again, where a brother died childless, but he left multiple widows. Back in the day, people used to marry many wives. It was very common. And the problem is that one of those widows is an Irva, is a relative, a forbidden relative to the living brother as well. So not only is the Irva, this widow who is a relative, not only is she exempt from Yibum or Halitza, but so too are the other widows, which are the co-wives of the Irva. And the opening Mishnah lists all the different ways in which a deceased brother's widow can be an Irva to a living brother. Now, in a perfect world, and if we were giving an official class, I would have a board behind me, using a lot of books and notes, and chart up every single case of these things. I have some charts in front of me, not many, but a few, but I'm not going to have to distribute them, so I'll do my best to explain it orally. And again, if you want to, by all means, review afterwards, Ashrechem. So it says the Mishnah, Hamesh Esrei Nashim Potrot Sarotehen. There are 15 women who, because they are an erva to the only living brother of the dead husband, they also exempt the co-wives from Halitza and Yibum. Not only that, Vetzarot Sarotehen Mina Halitza Umina Yibum. Also, they also exempt the co-wives of their co-wives from Chalitza and Yibum. So who's the co-wife of the co-wife? So meaning, if in addition to the first brother, to whom this widow is an erva, there was a second brother who she was not an erva to. Okay, maybe marry the second brother. He performed Yibum with the co-wife, but then the second brother died also childless, with two wives. So now he died childless now with 2 wives. Both widows are exempt from chalitza and from yibum with the first brother. One because she was previously the co-wife of the erva, and the other because she's now the co-wife of that co-wife. So, and this goes on ad sof ha'olam. So these 15 ladies, which the Mishnah is going to talk about now, again, exempt the co-wives from chalitza and yibum, and as well the co-wives of the co-wives from chalitza and yibum, ad sof ha'olam, regardless of how many different brothers there are, this can keep on going and going. So ve'eluhen, these are the 15 women. Number 1, bito, his daughter. Okay, so these are direct descendants of the living brother. His daughter, bat bito, his daughter's daughter. That's a granddaughter. Ubat beno, the daughter of the son, another granddaughter from the son. The next 3 are descendants from the living brother's wife. Bat ishto, that's number 4, his wife's daughter. So from, I guess, a different marriage. Ubat bena, the wife's son's daughter. Ubat bita, number 6 is the wife's daughter's daughter. Now, number 7, 8, and 9 are ancestors of the living brother's wife. Hamoto, the wife's mother. Em hamoto, the wife's grandmother, mother's mother. Ve'em chamiv, and the wife's grandmother from the father's side, the father's mother. Okay. The next 2 ervas are women that the living half-brother cannot marry because they're related to him from the mother's side. Number 10, achoto me'imo. She got a half-sister from the mother's side. Va'achot imo, number 11, is the mother's sister. Okay, number 12, va'achot ishto, his wife's sister. Now, the half-brothers from the father's side, a third erva, ve'eshet achiv me'imo, the wife of his half-brother from his mother's side. Number 14, ve'eshet achiv shelo haya be'olamo, the wife of his brother whose world he did not share, meaning the wife of a brother who died before this brother was born. And number 15, kalato, his daughter-in-law. And the Mishnah recaps, Hare elu potrot tzarotehen v'tzarot tzarotehen min ha'chalitza min ha'yibum. These 15 women exempt their co-wives and their co-wives of their co-wives from chalitza and yibum ad sof ha'olam, no matter how many brothers and sets of co-wives there may be. Vechulat, with regards to all of these women, im metu, if they died before their husband, or me'anu, or they performed mi'un. Mi'un, they annulled their marriage before before he died. Basically, they were given as a young child, you're going to marry this guy, and then because the father passed away, so the mother and the brother performed mi'un, and they annulled their marriage before he died. Or nitgarshu, or if they were divorced by him before he died. Or shenimseu ailoniot, or if they were found to be ailoniot. Ailoniot are women who had physical characteristics to show that they could not have children. Then tzarotehen mutarot. In all these cases, the co-wives to whom the dead man was still married at the time of death are permitted to the living brother. Okay? In these cases, the co-wives are allowed. He can perform yibum or chalitza with one of the remaining wives. However, you cannot say any of this with regards to the wife's mother, uv'em chamoto, or his wife's mother's mother, ube'em chamiv, or his wife's father's mother, shenimseu ailoniot, that they were found to be ailoniot. Ailoniot means you can't have children. But these three ervas, the grandmothers on both sides, okay, obviously they had children because they're alive as a granddaughter. So you can't use that excuse. Also me'anu, nor you could use the excuse that they performed mi'un with the deceased brother before he died, obviously because they got married. All right? So that concludes the first Mishnah. Let's learn one more Mishnah. Keitzad potrot tzarotehen. What is the case in which these 15 women exempt their co-wives from chalitza or yibum? So, explains. It's funny. So often the Mishnah, sometimes I feel that certain Mishnayot should be said before other ones. We see that often. Like if the Mishnah maybe would have started with this one, with a more elaborate explanation, it would have maybe helped us to understand the first one. But usually that's the way it goes. They just give us like the general, here are 15 ladies, and now they start, working them out. So hayta bito o achat mikol arayot ha'elu nesua le'achiv. If a man's daughter or any one of these other women who are erva was married to the brother, velo isha acheret, and this brother has another wife, vamet, and then he died, keshem shebito petura, just like the man's daughter is exempt from chalitza and yibum because she's an erva to the brother, kach tzarata petura, so too the co-wife is also exempt. Halcha tzarat pito v'niset la'achiv hasheni. If the daughter's co-wife went and married the second brother, that's a second surviving brother, and performed yibum, velo isha acheret, and now the second brother has another wife as well, so there's two wives to the second brother, vamet, and now he died without children. So what we end up having is we have two widows to the first brother. Keshem shetzarat pito petura, just like the daughter's co-wife is exempt from chalitza and yibum because she was an erva, kach tzarat tzarata petura, so too the co-wife of the co-wife is exempt. This is all elaborating on the open Mishnah. Afilu hen me'ah. Even if there are 100 brothers, and the co-wife of the daughter married one of them and had another wife, makes no difference. It goes on forever, like the Mishnah said. Keitzad. What happens in the situation where the erva was no longer married to the deceased man when he died? So now she doesn't exempt a co-wife. So Keitzad, what is the case? Imetu tzarotehen mutarot, where one of the 15 women died, the co-wives are permitted to the brother for yibum. Like this. Hayta bito o achat mikol arayot ha'elu nesua le'achiv. If daughter or any one of these women who was an erva was married to the brother, velo isha acheret, and his brother also had another wife, so two wives to the brother, meta bito o nitkarsha, and his daughter died or was divorced, now there's no more marriage, ve'achar kach met achiv, and only then the brother died. At that point, the tzarataz muteret, the co-wife is permitted, because by the time when the husband died, there was no marriage anymore because the first wife died, or whoever it was, the daughter or the other erva already passed away. So therefore, since the erva passed away and then the person died, the co-wife is permitted. Any of these ervas who could have performed mi'un and cancelled the marriage to the deceased brother before he died, velo me'ana, but did not perform mi'un, and therefore they were still married to him when he died, does not exempt their co-wife. Tzarata choletzet velo mityabemet. Rather, the co-wife has to perform halitza with the surviving brother, but cannot be taken into yibum by him. Okay, we'll continue with these Mishnayot, Bezrat Hashem, next week. Hazaku Baruch for hanging in there, and join us after Arvit, where we will be Mesayem Seder Moed. Hazaku Baruch.